Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Thank you so much for the wonderful responses on my previous budgeting videos. But I've been getting a lot of questions from some of you guys with regards to whether or not I actually stay on track on my budget. How do I stay on track on my budget? Do I end up going over budget and things like that? So in this video, I'm going to be covering how to stay on track with your budget, and let's get into the video. There are three things that I want to cover in this video. Number one is you need to learn how to be flexible with your budget and move funds around. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean with that in a second. The second thing is you absolutely need to track your expenses. You have to track your expenses. If you do not track your expenses, you definitely will go over budget. And number three, cash spending. You have to withdraw the cash and keep it in an envelope or keep it in your wallet. And if you only spend that cash and that's the only amount that you have, then you do not have any other money to overspend, because if we swipe, we end up not caring about the amount and we end up going over budget. But if you get to the till and you only have that $100, you can't go over budget, right? So those are the three things that we're going to be looking at in this video. Let's get into the video. So another important tip that I have for you guys is you need to set up your budget a week or 2 days or 3 days before you actually get paid, right? You don't want to set up your budget after you get paid. You don't want to set up your budget on the day that you get paid. You have to set up your budget at least a week, maybe 3 days before you get paid, because once that money rolls in, we tend to go a little bit crazy and we're like, oh, the money is in. We end up wanting to buy stuff here and there and everywhere. So before the money comes into our account, we already need to know where the money needs to go, right? So tip number one, set up your budget before the money comes in. I do mine a week before I get paid. Okay, that way when that SMS, that text message comes in to say the money has been paid in, I don't panic and go, I need to go to the ATM, I need to go withdraw money, I need to go to the shop, I need to go swipe my card, because I am calm. I already know where my money needs to go. Okay, so all right, so this is my January, February budget. I've already made a video about this budget, and if you haven't seen that video, I will link it for you in the card and in the description box below, but do go check that video out. And so basically, before I film the video, I do the budget for you guys so that I can already know where everything needs to go. And then when I actually film the video, I have a new blank sheet and I can just write everything down and I don't have to make mistakes while I'm filming the video. So this is the one that I did my planning on. And as I was doing my planning for the video, I realized that I was going to have a car expense come up in the middle of the month, but I had already allocated my funds. I had already allocated my full budget. Now, if it happens that, say for example, a week before you had already budgeted your money, but now payday comes around and you realize that an additional expense has come up, or during the middle of the month an additional expense has come up, then you need to be able to be flexible in your budget. And what I've done is I go ahead and I move some funds around. So as you can see, and I'll show you guys a close-up, I allocated here for myself $800 for grocery week 1, and $800 for grocery week 2, $500 for grocery week 3, and $400 for grocery week 4. But because I knew that car expense was coming up, so I decided that I was going to remove $100 from the $800 for week 1, remove $100 from week 2, remove $100 from week 3, and make each week a little bit less. That gave me $3 extra $100 that I could put towards that car expense that was coming up. In addition, I've got sinking funds that I'm saving up for. And if you guys don't know what sinking funds are basically a known expense that is coming up that you know about in advance that you want to save up for. For example, your child's birthday. You know your child's birthday is coming up in 5 months and you don't want to have a big budget expense in that month. So you can put a small amount away every single month so that when your child's birthday comes up, you don't have to run around and looking for funds in your budget. A car license disc is a big one. We always know every year our car license disc needs to be renewed. And so, yeah, we don't have to be running around looking for funds. For mine, it's usually in November or December at the end of the year. So I just end up putting $100 away in an envelope every month until I have the full amount, which is about $800, and then I know that that is done. You can save up for December, you can save up for Easter holidays, any holidays really. If you know you want to take a honeymoon trip or a anniversary trip, you can save up for that. Back to school season is another big one that parents usually stress about. So back to school season, you can put $200 or $100 per child in an envelope, and then you know by the end of the year you have $1,200 per child that you can spend on books. If you put $100, if you put $200, then you have $2,400 per child that you can spend on books and school clothes, and you're sorted. You don't need to run around looking for funds for back to school season. You don't have to go into debt for it. So that's what a sinking fund is for in a nutshell. And I have sinking funds. Now, sinking funds I'm pretty flexible with because it's like a savings, right? So if I know that there's an additional expense coming up, then I go to my sinking funds and I see where can I move some funds around. If I was going to save $100 towards my son's birthday, I'd be like, okay, instead of putting $100, I'm going to put $50 towards JP's envelope. Instead of putting $100 towards Willow, I'm going to put $50. Then I got another $100 that I can put towards that car expense. Okay, now that's how I move some funds around in my budget to still make my budget work. Because the whole thing about doing a budget is, number one, we don't want to use credit cards. Number two, we don't want to go take a loan. We don't want to go to the cash loans. We don't want to go to the bank. We don't want to go into debt. We don't want to have to swipe a credit card or anything like that. So that's why we're doing a budget, right? And that's why we're on a debt-free journey, because we don't want to go into any more debt and we want to pay off all of our debt. So we want to make our budget work. That's the important thing. So we need to be able to be flexible in our budget. Yes, we're telling our money where it needs to go. But say, for example, if we allocated $700 towards groceries in week 1, but now, oh my gosh, we already spent $800 in groceries week 2. That only means that we're not going to be able to spend the full $700 that we allocated in groceries week 2 in week 2 anymore. We're going to have to take that extra $100 away from week 2, which means we only have now $600 to spend in week 2. And we need to make it work. We need to eat out less, or we need to buy some cheaper groceries, some cheaper meat. If we were eating lamb chops the week before, then this week we got to stick to chicken or maybe mince or some more affordable meat this week, or maybe have a meatless day or two in our dinner nights or something like that. So it just means we need to be flexible and we need to try to save some money. That's what I mean when we need to be flexible in our budget to still make it work. If I do go over budget with groceries, or if I do have an additional expense that had come up in the month that I didn't budget for, I move some funds around within my budget to still make my budget work, so that I don't have to go borrow money, so that I don't have to use a credit card, so that I don't have to buy anything on credit. I never want to buy anything on credit ever again. I'm on a debt-free journey and I'm trying to get out of debt. Okay, that's point number 1. Point number 2 was, okay, so the second thing that we need to talk about is tracking our expenses. Now, I don't have my diary here. I think I forgot it at work on Friday, but I have a diary and I write everything in that diary. And when I go into the shop and I buy something, I come back and I sit in the car and I quickly write down what I bought and from what category I spent that money from. So for example, if it was groceries, I would write down NS $200 groceries week 1, and then I would highlight it yellow, or I would make a little star next to it. And then if I come and I spend from a different category, like for example, I paid the bank, then I would write NS $993 bank 1. Then I know that I paid the bank the first amount. And then I would come and I would write down NS $50 JP. Then I know I gave JP $50 for school or whatever. But every single expense, no matter how small, I come and I write down in that diary, and I do it immediately because we forget so quickly. And for example, if I go to the mall and I go to different shops, I put the receipts in my wallet, and when I get into the car, I quickly take out the receipts and I write them down. Or when I come home and I unpack the bags, I quickly sit down and I write down the groceries that I bought from the receipt. But it's better to do it in the car before you get home, because once you get home, things can get crazy. While you're unpacking bags, you can start making dinner and whatever, and you can forget to write it down. So I track every single expense and I write what category it's coming from, so that I know, okay, for groceries week 1, I had already spent $400. So I only have $200 or $300 left to spend, depending on how much I allocated. So I know, oh shucks, for groceries week 1, I only have like $300 left, and there's 2 more days left in week 1. So for these next 2 days, I only have $300. What am I going to make for dinner? And I plan accordingly, to spend accordingly, so that I don't end up going over budget. Same thing for all the other categories. I track what I spend, where I spend it, and then I see how much do I have left in that category, and I see how many days are left and everything like that, so that I don't end up going over budget. And if I see that I am, or if I anticipate that I am going to go over budget in that category, that's when I go back to another area of my budget and see, okay, shucks, for groceries week 1, I only have $50 left, but I'm gonna need to go buy something tonight to make for dinner, so I'm gonna have to take another $100 from groceries week 2. Then I already know, that's how I get flexible in my budget, and I still make my budget work, and I know I don't have to go into debt or anything like that. The whole point of budgeting is knowing where your money is going and knowing what your money is doing for you. But this thing of not knowing what your money is doing, just spending money frivolously, or however you say that word, but just spending money, not knowing where the money is going, and then thinking, oh shucks, it's like the 2nd of the month and I've got no more money left. How am I going to get through this month? Oh well, we'll just swipe a credit card or whatever. No more of that. Okay, so that's the second thing. And then the third thing, spend cash. Guys, I know that they're trying to make us not spend cash by charging us bank charges when we withdraw money at the ATM. But here's the thing, our brains actually feel pain when we spend cash, so we actually spend less money when we spend cash. This is a study that was done, and this is not my own information. I heard this from Dave Ramsey. So when you swipe a card, you give them the card, they swipe it, and they give you the card back. So you don't feel like you parted with anything. But when you pay with cash, you give them the cash, they don't give you anything back. So it feels like you parted with something. It feels like you gave away something. So your body feels pain when you spend cash. That means you will spend less cash. So you'll end up saving more money. So spend with cash. Also, when you're swiping a credit card, you'll put things in your cart and you'll be like, you know what, I think this is going to be over $100, but it's okay, I can just swipe. And it ends up being maybe $110. Next time you swipe, it's $115. Next time you swipe, and that $10 and $15 and whatever dollars, $3, it adds up to being a lot, and you end up being over budget a lot. But when you have $100 cash to spend and you put things in your cart, you're gonna make sure that you don't go over $100, because you don't want to get to the till and be embarrassed and be like, your total is over $100, but you only have $100 cash. So that's why I'm saying spend cash. Alright guys, there are my tips for how not to go over budget and how to stay on track with your budget. I hope it was helpful. If you guys did find it helpful, please do share this video with a friend. Do give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. I look forward to seeing you guys again in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe. See you. Bye.